McLaren CEO Zak Brown has made a bit of a habit of losing bets against his drivers this season, with Daniel Ricciardo's win in Monza earning him a spin in Dale Earnhardt's classic 1984 NASCAR and earning Brown a new tattoo. But Brown also made a deal with Indycar star Pato O'Ward that if he could take a first win in Indycar in 2021, he'd get an F1 test with McLaren in the future. The young Mexican delivered on his side of the deal, and as a result, Brown has rewarded the 22-year-old with a drive in the F1 Young Drivers Test in Abu Dhabi at the end of the season. With an aggressive and thrilling driving style and bags of pace, O'Ward is no doubt an impressive young driver, but just how good is he, and is a full-time switch to F1 possible in the future? The road to this first F1 test has been a bit of a whirlwind for O'Ward, who's battled sponsorship challenges, been dropped from the Red Bull Junior program, and then had to rebuild his career in IndyCar, going on to become one of the series' top talents in recent years. When Dan Ticktum was kicked out of the Red Bull Junior program in 2019, it was O'Ward that was brought in as his replacement. The Mexican had just beaten fellow young charger Colton Herta to the Indy Lights title in 2018, and he made it clear that the aim of the move to Red Bull was to make it to Formula One, calling it a fantastic opportunity. O'Ward was already highly rated in the US, and moving his focus to Europe was a bit of a gamble, and I think it's fair to say that this plan to go from IndyCar straight to Formula One just didn't go to plan and ended up being a bit of a disaster. He had already started the IndyCar season with Carling and took a promising 8th place at the Circuit of the Americas, but it was after this that things started to unravel. He had a huge crash in practice for the Indy 500 and then didn't qualify for the race, and he later had to start juggling his Red Bull commitments with his IndyCar commitments. He was drafted in as a last-minute replacement in F2 at the Red Bull Ring, but he could only manage a 14th place in the feature race and a 19th place in the sprint race, and he also took over Dan Ticktum's seat in Super Formula in Japan, which only yielded a best finish of 6th place. And then to make things even worse, he wasn't awarded the super license points for his Indy Lights Championship win in 2018, as the FIA deemed there hadn't been enough competitors in the series that year. This left O'Ward without the results and the super license points he needed to make it into Formula One. O'Ward and Helmut Marko then came to an agreement on his early release from the programme, and his time with Red Bull ended up starting in May and then being finished by the November of the same year. I've seen some critics of O'Ward say that this season is a reason why he wouldn't be successful in Formula One, but to me this all screams of being very last minute. He replaced Ticktum well into the racing season, and he got a late call to step up to F2, which is a series with an extremely steep learning curve, especially when it comes to things like DRS and the Pirelli rubber, which is notoriously hard to manage. And I'm sure all of this uncertainty and jumping around between different series may have been a reason why O'Ward wasn't able to show his full potential. Either way, Red Bull weren't impressed, and it was the right move for O'Ward to move back to the States to challenge in IndyCar again. All of this turned out to be a blessing in disguise, and McLaren came calling after his Red Bull release and signed him up for a full-time IndyCar drive in 2020. And O'Ward has thrived with the team since then, really benefiting from that added security of having a full-time drive paid for. In just his 4th race back in IndyCar, he took a pole at Road America and he very nearly won the race, only to be passed by Felix Rosenqvist with just 2 laps to go. He ended the season 4th in the standings with 4 podium finishes, and it was a really impressive return to the series, especially after all the disappointment that he'd suffered in his time with Red Bull the year before. And this is where the bet with Zak Brown comes in. For the 2021 season, Brown challenged O'Ward to take his first win and said that if he could do it, he would get an F1 test with McLaren at some point in the future. And it was clear from the outset in 2021 that O'Ward would do more than just taking that first win. He was on pole for the first race of the season, and then by the 3rd race he'd already taken his first podium of the year, and then in the 4th race at Texas he took that all-important first win. He ended the season with 3 poles and 5 podium finishes and was a championship challenger all through the year. And O'Ward's win in Detroit was arguably one of the best drives of the season. He used his aggressive style to fire up the tyres and then charge his way through the field to take the lead late on, putting in several impressive overtakes along the way. He remained in the hunt for the championship right up until the last race, but his chances were wrecked when he was tagged by Ed Jones in the finale at Long Beach. O'Ward has taken the opportunity at Arrow McLaren with both hands, and he really has cemented his place alongside Colton Herta as one of IndyCar's brightest talents. But this also leaves both Herta and O'Ward at a crossroads in their young careers. Do they go on to take the championships and wins that are expected of them in IndyCar, or do they gamble on moving across to Formula One to see if they can make it at the pinnacle of motorsport? Having got that all-important win under his belt and winning the bet against Zak Brown, O'Ward is now preparing for that first Formula 1 test at the end of the season at Abu Dhabi. And the boss has had nothing but good things to say about the young Mexican driver. Brown has praised O'Ward's Indycar season and he's called him a big personality with loads of speed, as well as saying that his preparation in the McLaren simulator has been very good so far. And the young driver's test is going to be a great opportunity for O'Ward to show the team what he could do in Formula 1, as well as giving the team a chance to see what O'Ward is like in that setup. But as for O'Ward's chances of making a full-time jump to Formula 1, Zak Brown has been a little bit more guarded on that front. Brown has acknowledged that O'Ward has the ambition to make it to Formula 1, but has also suggested that they're just going to have to see how it goes in that test in Abu Dhabi. It's also going to be important for McLaren to keep their focus on Indycar, as they want to become one of the front-running teams and championship winners there as well in the future. O'Ward himself has said that if an F1 offer did come up, then he would be pretty stupid to say no, but it may be that any opportunity, if it did come, wouldn't even arrive until at least 2024. So what are O'Ward's chances of making it to Formula 1 in the future? Unlike his fellow countrymen Sergio Perez or Esteban Gutierrez before him, O'Ward doesn't bring any substantial sponsorship money, so a move to Formula 1 would likely have to be with McLaren. Those seats are obviously currently tied to Lando Norris and Daniel Ricciardo, and any opportunity there would have to come at the expense of one of those two leaving the team. In O'Ward's favour is that he would likely be a cheaper option than any of the others already in Formula 1, but with McLaren aiming to return to the top in the future, you have to wonder whether they'd be willing to place their bets on an IndyCar driver who is unproven in Formula 1. And with Norris and Ricciardo under contract, there's unlikely to be a space open at McLaren until at least 2023 or even 2024. There's also been questions about whether O'Ward's all-out attack style would be suited to Formula 1 in its current state, especially where you have to look after the tyres quite carefully. Brown has gone as far to say that the best thing that O'Ward can do now to put himself into contention for a Formula 1 seat is to keep on impressing in IndyCar, with the aim of following in the footsteps of Jack Villeneuve and Juan Pablo Montoya. So for now, I think it looks like O'Ward's chances of taking a race seat at McLaren are limited, but at least by earning the test opportunity with the team at the end of the season, he's got one foot in the door and a chance to impress them. And even if a move to Formula 1 doesn't materialise in the future, you would still have to say that O'Ward is set for success for years to come in IndyCar, but he's already shown that he can be competitive in a closely matched field. So the next step in this journey for O'Ward will be to return to IndyCar in 2022 and keep up that aggressive style that served him so well so far. And if he can get close to winning the Indy 500 and another shot at the IndyCar Championship, then we might see if McLaren is willing to take a chance on him being Mexico's next Formula 1 star. And of course, we'll also get an idea of what he can do in a Formula 1 car when he takes place in the Abu Dhabi Young Drivers Test at the end of the Formula 1 season. Thanks very much for watching. I'd love to get your thoughts on Pato O'Ward in the comments. Do you think he could cut it as a Formula 1 driver, and should McLaren take a chance on him in the future? And if you like this video, please give us a subscribe and like for more content from Formula Pulse.